Going on, guys? I am JT Miller. It's my partner, Mike Schwally. First off, just wanted to say thank you to Nikki for setting this up. She is a fantastic realtor and an even better person. Um, know she wanted to connect me with some of her real estate investors and figure it's probably best to just walk you guys through a quick example of what we do and the type of people we work with. So, Mike's got something ready to go. We're going to make this super quick and let's do it.
Yep. Thanks, JT. And Nikki, thank you for the opportunity to share this with you guys. JT and I work with a number of real estate investors. I've been practicing this strategy for about 15 years, and I probably work with 70 plus real estate investors. And here's an example of one of those clients. But what we're looking at right now is actually nothing to do with the infinite banking strategy. This is just essentially a calculator, a tool that teaches us the actual what's going on with our money. So it's a really good numbers. A lot of analytics out there just want to show me the numbers, and that's what we're going to try and do today. So I'm going to walk you through what we're looking at. A lot of numbers on the screen, a lot going on. So let's just break it down. We're going to kind of go slow through each step, but I think you'll understand, and we're going to keep track of how this process works. So this tool is called the truth concept. So it tells the true value of your dollar and what's going on. So imagine, JT, and those that are listening, that this is just a money market account. So we have a number of deposits over a 10-year period here that equal up to 825,000. So as you can see, for the first 5 years, kind of a heavy trying to get their real estate game going. They need capital to do it, and they're gonna put money into this system each and every year. And then it slows down over the next few years after they kind of capitalized and they have amount of capital in there. So number one, this is just showing basically money going into a shoebox or a safe, and you're not earning anything on that money. Well, we're not going to do that. So unless you really hate banks and you just want to work out of your safe, but we're going to put an earnings rate there, right? And we're going to go to a commercial bank, and typically, and we're looking over a long period of time here, 45 years of life. I'm 50. I hope I got 45 years more to go. JT, you're in your 20s, and you've got more than that to go. So we've got a long time span here, but that's what money is about, right? Having money for the long haul. So we're going to look over it over a long period of time. And this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is slow and steady wins the race. We're just looking at maybe a better alternative than the commercial bank down the road. But let's talk about that commercial bank. So JT, that historically we know that over these type of accounts, these low interest bearing accounts at the bank, money markets, CDs, savings accounts, they earn typically about 1%. So, but some of you today, we're sitting at 2026. You could probably go get 3% in a high yield savings, or four maybe. And but those accounts, if I would have asked you that question in 2020, you're getting 0.5% for your money, right? So over a long haul, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. A lot of clients, when I go through this process, will say 1% or 1.5% or 2%. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say, let's say we earn 1.75 in that account over a 45-year history. Every year, 1.75 is the earnings rate in that column. So you see your deposits, here's your earnings rate, and here's the earnings in that deposit. So your 825 that you put in over a 45-year period would have earned 1.75. But remember, those types of accounts, the bank is controlling those, and the IRS gets involved. So one of the things we know, JT, is that when you earn money in these types of accounts, that $2,188 that you earned that first year goes at the top of your income bracket. So if you earn $200,000, $300,000 a year, they take that $2,100, they stack it at the top of your income bracket, and gets taxed at the highest possible rate. So I'm going to just say, just for an average, let's say 35% taxation on that money. So we've earned in that account, we've paid our taxes, and this is kind of our baseline. So I'm going to keep track here for us, and we're going to call that money market account $1.3 million. All right. So we've got $1.3 million in that account. I'll, even give it the 1.32. We'll give it the extra decimal place. Now we're not going to park that kind of money in the account for as a real estate investor and then not use it, right? So we want to go buy some properties. Well, we have a lot of clients that finance those deals, and that's great. They don't love finance because They are beholden to the banks. They pay a rate of interest, and they're on a payment plan. So they like to use cash. And so let's look at that. We know with financing what our interest cost is, right? We can put a rate of interest against it, and we can look at a amortization schedule, and we know what we're going to pay back over time. But with cash, we don't really see the cost of what happens in the background. So most people would just say, I want to use cash. So in most cases, in a real estate deal, you've got to have some skin in the game anyway. Whether you're financing a rehab or you borrow from a private lender or whatever that might be, you still got to put some skin in the game in most cases. To the rehab costs, the renovations, whatever it might be. So these numbers don't always apply to every situation, but I think you'll understand. So let's go out and buy a rental. All right. So we're in the first year. We put our 125 in. We pulled out 75,000 to go buy that first rental or that first rehab. And over that time frame, that 75,000 we took out, and then a couple years go by, and we get a good deal on a multifamily, and we find a $150,000 multifamily that we can start investing. Maybe it's a duplex or a quadplex, whatever it might be, and you start bringing in money from that, and then as most real estate investors go, they expand, and now they find an apartment complex they want to get in on, and we pull money out of that deal. So what I'm showing is just 3 transactions, and they equal up to $525,000. But look what that did to our 1.3. We've now got, let's round it up and call it 500K. So I'm pretty good with math, JT. That looks like about $820,000 that we lost.
Yep. We
only spent 525, but we've only got 500 left. Where did all that money go? That's what people don't see. That's the hidden charge of using cash, because when we remove that money from its earnings potential, it's never going to earn for us again. And so the opportunity cost of cash is a real expense, and we have to understand that. So, but this is not really reality. Most people, most investors, what they do is when that rental property or that rehab goes out, obviously there's a return on that investment. So let's say they put that money back in over a period of time. So that 75 went out, they had some income coming in, and they refilled their bucket. Well, that multifamily hopefully did the same thing, and they refilled that bucket. And the apartment complex did the same thing, and we refilled that bucket. Now we see that the 525 went out, and over time they were a cash person. They controlled when they get to put that money back in, but it goes back into the bucket at 525. That's great. So let's see what the effect was there. We minimized almost all of the opportunity cost of our money, because now we're at 3.0. There was a little bit of cost, just a small fraction of interest that they paid or lost, I should say, because the money was outside of the account, not earning before we refilled it. But they pretty much solved for their lost capital. It's a big difference, So if anything, when you do an investment, refill your bucket and do it again and again and again. But one of the next layers that we teach people, and this is something that everybody from this call can take away, is practice what's called EVA in your life, economic value added. I won't go into the weeds of what that means. You can study it and educate yourself. But what it means is that the market, in this example, if the market is charging 4% for money, which is a pretty cheap rate right now, but at a cheap rate of 4%, what if when you take your capital out of a cash account, you treat your money with the same respect that a lender would charge you? So if the lender is going to charge you 4%, I like my capital more than their capital. Let me replenish my money with that same respect and refill my bucket at 4%. So you see, it added a few dollars back into my capital account, and I'm going to do that across the board here. So now we took 525 out. We treated our money with some extra cost because we just proved there was a cost, and we put that money back in, adding EVA to the column. Well, now look at our balance. We've got 1.36. We've got more money than we took out. We've got more money than we left it alone, right? We added some value back into the account, and we added $40,000 to our overall number just by adding a few dollars back into our system. So EVA, if anything, that you take away today will add value, add net worth by definition to your situation. Well, all we are doing with infinite banking, JT, is providing a better savings solution, a better warehouse for your capital than the commercial bank down the road. It's a properly structured dividend paying whole life insurance contract that is structured for cash rather than death benefit, meaning we eliminate the expense of the insurance product and we put it in this vehicle that provides safety, guaranteed growth, tax free nature, liquidity, and the big one, we don't interrupt the compounding of our money when we use it. What does that mean, right? Well, that's going to take another call, another education, but let's just look at the math behind it and show you. So I'm going to load in the insurance values, that life insurance product. I'm not going to change any of the cash flows. I'm not going to change any of the deposits. All I'm going to do is change the location of which we place our money. Well, look what that just did naturally, JT. It just went from 1.36 to 2.52. That's a big difference, right? But hang on one second. What's one of those characteristics I just mentioned? We don't get to participate. We don't have to participate with the IRS. So we didn't just go up 2.55. We went up 4.5. What's that? 4.53 million instead of 1.36. We still bought the same properties. We still refilled our bucket in the same manner. We didn't add to your cash flow. We didn't add to your risk. We didn't add to your bottom line. We enhanced what the client can do just by simply using a more efficient vehicle. So that I like money, and $3.2 million is a big difference. And I still got all these cash flows, still got all the things. It just takes some education. Look, we took a step backwards in this product in year one. That's why most people hear life insurance. Well, it's expense, it's a cost. But if you think long range, if you can open up your mind a little bit and understand another vehicle, it can create wealth for you and your clients. So I hope this was beneficial. I hope this helped educate folks. And please reach out to JT and myself. We do individual calls. We'll get our information to Nikki, and she can share our information. We'd love to hear about your situation and see if we can design something. Look, this column over here doesn't look the same for everybody. We have clients putting in $1 million a year. We have clients that start at $12,000 a year. They all work the same. We have to sit and design a policy just for you and your habits and your goals that you want to reach, and then we'll go from there. So hope this was helpful, JT, and I appreciate the opportunity, buddy.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Mike. And like you said, feel free to shoot me an email. And yeah, thank you, Nikki.